Everyone, Phi Farley here, going into championship weekend in the NFL off a 4-0 sweep last weekend. Man, I am super pumped about these games. We got the four best offenses going at it. I mean, it just doesn't get much better than this. We got interesting dynamics. We got some personnel changes throughout the season. We got a rematch. Both teams have played each other. It's all coming to fruition here. Rams, Saints, Patriots, Chiefs. I'm excited to get into this. I'm going to break down both sides and totals and then rank those as the best bet down to the least confident play. But I got one best bet that I am really jacked up about. I'm going to be taking it myself. I think it's the best way to go in this game, and I think it's a winning side. So let's get into that all in 1 second. First, let me say, if you haven't subscribed, take a second. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, check out my other picks. I got a daily best bet in NBA, got a daily best bet in NCAA basketball, coming off another 2-0 sweep yesterday in both. So if you're not tuning into that, take a second to hit subscribe, and much appreciated. All right, so now let's break down this weekend. I think there's a factor that's played into personnel on both teams that will make an effect on this weekend's game, and I actually think Vegas hasn't really adjusted for it, so there's a little bit of value on both sides. Let's first talk about the Patriots and Chiefs. Before I go into personnel, I'm going to talk about how the Patriots and Chiefs have done against the upper echelon opponents. So here we go against the number one offense, against the number two offense in the AFC. How have these teams done against the playoff teams throughout the season going into this? The Chiefs, Patty Mahomes, entered the season with a Chargers win when the Chargers hadn't really done much to start the season before they figured things out. Then they lose to the Patriots. Then they lose to the Rams. They beat the Ravens. They lose to the Chargers, lose to the Seahawks. So that's a 2-3 record against playoff teams going into the postseason. Meanwhile, the Patriots beat the Texans. They beat the Colts. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Bears. Let's see. Packers didn't make it. Vikings didn't make it. Steelers didn't make it. So there you go. 4-0. Patriots against the top teams. I mean, when you handicap this game, you really got to look at Brady and Belichick versus the other guys. They could have anyone really running the routes and blocking, and they just find a way to win and bring the best out of what they have. Of course, we're talking about the Chiefs. We're talking about the number one offense here, so you can't just sit back and expect these guys to win just based on their name. They scheme really, really well coming into this. Now, here's where it comes down to personnel, because the Chiefs, when they lost Kareem Hunt, I think changed the dynamic to their team. It really, down the stretch, affected them quite a great deal. Williams has been doing well here into the playoffs, but it's just starting to happen. It is just starting to happen once he's gotten into the playoffs. Before that, I used to say there was a problem matching up against the Chiefs because you had to factor in Mahomes, you had to factor in Hill, who's a freak athlete, you had to factor in Hunt, who's a freak athlete, and you had to factor in Kelsey, who's a freak athlete. That's too many weapons on the one side for the other team to factor in. Now, the Patriots, if they do anything better than anyone else, it's scheming against the other team's offensive weapons. And they would isolate those best opportunities the other team had to score and make you beat them with your weakness. Well, the Chiefs, down one of those offensive weapons, have been hurt a little bit. I mean, down the stretch, just look at it. They lost 2 out of the last 3 games, barely beat the Ravens at home. That was a really, really close game. I thought the Ravens had that one. So barely beat the Ravens at home. Outside of that, they split. They were 3-3 down the stretch. Not the way you want to go into the playoffs, but a lot of that, I think, had to do with adjusting to Williams versus Hunt. It wasn't even Williams, actually, right out of the gates. Williams has just stepped in as they go into the playoffs. Now, there's one other factor here that I'm going to put as my last capping of this game, and that is the weather. And I put it last because I don't put a lot of weight into this, but I did hear a statistic that's really interesting about Patty Mahomes throughout the season. His 18 starts, the 4 coldest games he's played in were his 4 lowest QBRs of his career. the game this weekend will be the coldest of those 4 games that he's played in. Remember, he played in Texas at Texas Tech, so he played in warm weather throughout college, and now this is really the first time he's starting to get some colder weather, and it's kind of an interesting factor. I don't know. Take that for what it's will. I'm not going to hang my hat on that, but taking in the playing against tougher opponents, Patriots win that. Playing against with the veteran quarterback with more experience, Patriots win that. Belichick eats up rookie quarterbacks and first-year playoff quarterbacks. Even though he is a second year, it's his first year in the playoffs. Scheming-wise, from head coach, Patriots win that. Quarterback, most of these things all tilt Patriots' way. As a 3-point underdog, I'm definitely playing the Patriots side. Right now at even money, we're getting +3 for New England Patriots. I'm taking that all day long. So when it comes to the total 55.5, this is really hard to cap because we've seen money come in on the under early because of the weather, which early it said it was going to be 5 degrees. It looks like now it's going to be more like 20 degrees. So I don't think weather is going to be as big a factor. So now it's been bet back up to 55.5, got all the way down to like 54, opening up at 57. So now we're at 55.5. I typically like in these games where New England can scheme their way into them, I typically like to go with the under because the Patriots do such a good job controlling the football. I look for them to run Sony Michel hard throughout this game. They did a good job of running Michel against the Chiefs the first time. I think they're going to try and control the clock, keep Mahomes on the side, freezing his tail off, and run that football. So under 55.5 is my totals play in this game. So there you go, side Patriots, total under 55.5. Now let's talk about Rams and Saints. So this is also a rematch of the regular season, 45-35. There was also a personnel change throughout the season. That's the Rams losing Cooper Kupp. And you may say, well, that's not a big deal. He's a slot receiver. They still have Woods. They still have Cooks. Why is that such a big factor? I can tell you why. In the NFL, that was the number one connection percentage was Goff to Kupp. 76% of the time Goff threw to Kupp, it was caught. Number one in the NFL. More receptions on third down was Goff to Kupp than anyone else in the NFL. You remove that, you remove Goff's comfort blanket, and Goff is a systematic passer. So if you take that part of the system away, it's going to have a negative impact. And take a look at the games after Kupp leaves. You see they lose to the Saints, 5-point game to the Seahawks at home, 3-point game to the Chiefs. They have a bye. Then they come back and beat the Lions by 14. They lose to the Bears, lose to the Eagles, and then they have the Cardinals and 49ers down the stretch. So other than really light opponents, they struggled in pretty much every one of those games. And now they're going on the road into New Orleans. I think this is playing into New Orleans' hands. What I think we're going to see is the Rams force Gurley running the football. They've been running the ball over 40 times per game here down the stretch. They're going to run Gurley, try C.J. Anderson a little bit after that. The Saints do a fantastic job stopping the run. I think it's going to be stop, punt. New Orleans goes down and scores. I think it's going to be the same thing. They're going to try play action, but that's fairly predictable. I don't think it's going to work because the run didn't work to begin with. Punt. New Orleans goes down and scores again. Now we're down 14. I do not trust Goff with that far of a deficit to come back in. So I think it's going to be the Saints. Minus the 3.5 is going to be the play. Totals wise, I think this one is going to go over the total just because there will never be a time to relax because both offenses are so dynamic. I don't think either one is going to be going to the run after it's taken away from the Rams. I think the Rams are going to try it early. It's not going to work, and then it's going to play right into the Saints' hands. So that's the way I'm feeling on it, is Saints minus the 3.5 is the best way to play that one. And then totals-wise, I would say over the 56.5 in this one as well. So there you go, my 2 cents on the weekend. Now in way of priority, I would say Patriots by and large plus the 3. Then I would say the Saints minus the 3.5. Then I would say under in the Patriots-Chiefs game. And then I would say over as the least confident play would be over in the Rams and Saints. All right, good luck everyone this weekend. Again, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, hit the notification bell, check out my other videos, and we'll see you again soon.